Okay, so now that we have our data, um, let's go ahead and use it in our components. So from content, yeah, so I'm just gonna go ahead and import my locations API. Actually, I'm gonna change something here. Um, let's let's go ahead and because it's possible you have multiple API here. Let's go ahead and just do this. Um, let's say this constant. Okay, and from our content that we're gonna import our API locations, and the way we actually get data into our components is to use light circle hooks. And what I'm not gonna go ahead and explain that, but basically it's it's what gets triggered when our component's loaded, right? It's loaded, right? So there's life cycle um, event, and this actually handles that. So when the component did mount, we want to go ahead and call our locations API. If you console.log um, let's just say response, you're gonna see that um, our component is being rendered once. Okay, so we render our components, and then we called the lifecycle hook. The event got handled, and we have resp. Okay, but what we want to do is we want to make React actually handle the state of of our data. The reason being that we cannot guarantee. I mean, we want to go ahead and re-render our components again because we're going to be passing our locations in here. We want to render these components again once we have our data, okay? And React actually helps us to it can help us manage that um, by keeping track of what we call state, okay? So in our state, so it's going to be a JSON object. We're going to have a key. I'm going to call it locations, and I'm going to have this called this to be initialized to be an empty array. And right here, instead of doing console.log, let's go ahead and say, um, let's go ahead and call set state, and that is how you update your um, state. Um, and we call this going to be a JSON object. We call this locations, and then this is going to be our response. Okay, let's go ahead and pass our locations, okay, object into as a props to the to the list component. So I'm gonna say locations equals to this dot state dot locations. Okay, this is how you pass data into components, and actually we're gonna be utilizing the same data here. Um, so I can as well go ahead and do this. Okay, so now let's go to our list component, and let's start using our data. Okay, now what we want to load our locations right here. Um, we want to iterate it through this array and then load our location. So we're just going to do just that. Um, so right here, let's go ahead and ID. I'm going to say this locations. Okay. Um, and now we're going to want to go ahead and we're going to have an input. Um, it's going to be a type of text. and let's gonna leave that for now, and let's go ahead and have a list. Okay, and um, in our list, right, each list is gonna be um, a location. Okay, we're gonna loop through our data right here. So let's go ahead and call get our locations equals to this dot props dot, we called it locations here. So say this is process location. Um, and from here, what we're gonna do is I have this auto format. That's actually saving this, changing it. All right, let's go ahead and say locations dot let's go ahead and map, okay, and say that for each location object we get, right, what do you want to what do you want to do? We want to go ahead and return um so in this list, okay, it's going to be, let's go ahead and have a div here. um and right here, what are we gonna have? We're gonna have the title or the header. Okay, let me just say h2, and what is that gonna be? I think it's gonna be say location look dot, let's take a look at what we have again. Oops, we're gonna come back to that. So we have each list, each location is actually, we have location, we have venue, and in venue we have name. Okay, so we're gonna have location dot venue dot name. So location dot venue dot name, yes, yeah, and let's see how that renders on the app. All right, great. Okay, so we beginning to get our locations, okay, data. And yeah, so we are having so React is complaining that each list needs to have a key. Okay, so how we resolve that is just to basically give this a key property attribute, and it's gonna be what? It's gonna be location dot something, right? Because each location has an ID at venue.id. Okay, location.venue.id, and that should get it. Um, that should eliminate or remove that error. Okay, so nice, nice. We can add more details here. Actually, we can begin to have maybe the address. Let's go ahead and have one more. Let's call it a p tag and call it address. Okay. And what that's gonna be location dot, let's see, location dot venue dot location dot address. Okay, location dot venue dot location dot address, right? And I can actually have this as name, right? Yeah, and we have that. Now actually this is too big. I'm just gonna make it a p paragraph. In reality, it should be a link because we're gonna want to click on it, but we're gonna come back there. What is running? Oh, right. Uh-oh. Oh, yeah, it's supposed to come first. All right. So we have our name, and we have an address, and we're gonna use CSS styling to actually remove all these numbers. But yeah, you're getting the idea. This is looking cool. Um, let's go ahead and start working on our info window, our markers and stuff. But actually, I like to make things look pretty a little nice. It actually inspires me to work to work more. So let's do some CSS styling here. I'm gonna call this let's uh let's change this to class of title. Let's change it to title. Let's add it to class here, and let's go ahead and make this the link that we want it to be. Um, so basically, I think here let's make this a link, and let's add our href attribute and set it to this. All right. Oh, class name. Actually, yeah, it's supposed to be class name, not class. So now I think it's looking a little bit nice, name and stuff. We're gonna use CSS to handle the rest. Um, and actually, one other thing is what's happening here. We're dealing with a lot of data. So what you want to do is to make it scrollable, right? It's gonna be it's a CSS feature, right? But we'll come back to that. Let's start working on our markers. Let's go to Google site and see the way we create markers. Okay, we create a marker by calling um, um, by instantiating a marker object, um, and but in this case we're going to be creating multiple markers. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. The other thing is I think our data is actually based on we're getting data of what data are we getting? Let's go to our location and we're getting near Bentonville. So I need to get the um, center location, right? We need to center our map actually, because right now it's somewhere, right? So let's go ahead and do that, and we're gonna do that from our app.js. We already yeah, we're setting a lat long that is not what it should be. So let's go to Google and say Bentonville location, right? Bentonville location. I'm just gonna say lat long, uh, and that is what we get. Um, so I'm just gonna go ahead and use that. Um, 36. So this is gonna be 36.3729, and it's gonna be um, actually in the west. It's gonna be actually negative 94.208. All right. Um, and yeah, we're somewhere around here. So now let's go ahead and so we have centered our location. So now let's go ahead and add our markers. Okay. Um, so like I was showing you, this is how you add a marker. You have to instantiate, right? So now we're going to be doing that from our map.js. Okay. Um, and I'm going to go ahead and create a function. to say add markers. All right. Okay, and it's gonna take what locations that we have. We're gonna pass in a location, and in return, we would have a marker. So now let's create an instance object, instance variable called markers here. So we're gonna look through our location, our locations, um, and then do that. Okay, so now we're gonna do for the for loop. Okay, for let I equals to 0, I less than locations dot length, and then I plus plus. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and do what we're supposed to do, which is do this. Okay, I'm gonna use a let. So let marker equals to this, and our position actually is gonna be an object. Um, yeah, it's gonna be actually an object, and here you actually have to pass lat, and a lat is gonna be what locations. Right? Okay. Actually, let's go back and see. Look at our data once again. I'm not interested in that error for now. I'm only interested in data. So let's go ahead and see what we have. Venue, and we have location, and we have lat and long. So venue, location, lat, long. Okay, venue, location, lat, long. Location dot venue dot location dot lat, and we're gonna have long, and we're gonna have same here, except this is gonna be long. And then our map. Okay, now we don't know what our map is. Okay, because we need a reference to the map that we created in app.js. We create a map. Create a map object instance here. So we need this reference. Okay, we can actually pass this as a prop. Okay, to our component here. But I'll do it the easy way. I'm just gonna go ahead and create this on a window on the window object. All right. So if I do that, I'm gonna call it map object. See, and right here, or is it? We're gonna call window dot map map object. Okay. Says window dot map object. Okay. Now we get another error. Says map object is not defined from app.js. Let's see what that is. Map object is not defined. Oh my bad. Actually, this was supposed to be here, and this is gonna be map. Okay, which is what we have. And so now we got another exception, which is Google is not defined. Okay, and the reason we are getting that is that the first time that our component got rendered, remember that the first time that our components got rendered, we don't have our script loaded. Okay, we may not have had our script loaded, so we're gonna do a simple check here. Let's see. where is it, map. I'm going to say that if this should only happen if there is window dot Google, right? So once we're sure that that happens on our, because so the first time our component gets rendered, we may not actually have that window, our script loaded. So, but we want to do this once we are very sure that this exists. And one more exception here, it says Google is not defined. And where is that coming from? Line 8, line 8, line 8. Google is not defined. Oh, yeah. So our this is actually we actually place this in our Windows Google, not, so we have to change this here. All right. So now seems things are looking pretty nice, pretty good. What else we want to do is that once our marker is created, we want to go ahead and do something else, right? What do we want to do? Let's go ahead and once this is done, what is it? We want to go ahead and add markers.push, right? um, macro. Okay, and um, actually we're not. Yeah, I was looking for our markers, but actually our markers wouldn't show yet because we're not calling this add markers function yet. So that's interesting. Um, actually this should happen before. This should happen here. For each of them, we want to go ahead and do this. Okay, and let's go ahead and call our add markers here. So these are add markers. And now we begin to get the exceptions we are interested in. What is the problem here? Cannot read property length of undefined. Cannot read property length of undefined. Oh, because we didn't pass in our locations, right? So this actually is, so because we didn't pass in our location, so this actually is going to be this dot state dot locations. All right, this the state the locations. All right, let's look at it again. One more thing, we cannot read property location. Actually, it's locations, right, from our content. We have location, and let's console.log our locations. Let's see what that gives to us. This dot state the locations. Okay, and so this is the state of locations. Actually, we are not even getting that consoled. This render seems like this is not happening, which is interesting. So map.js20, right? We have console.log locations. This just, oh my god. Oh, so actually it's this dot props. It's props, not state, because we're getting it from our content.js. And yeah, so now we have locations. We have, all right, I don't know which one is which now. I'm gonna make this SSS. All right, so we have locations. The first time it comes in empty, and then we have this and that. Okay, so now there's another exception. Oh, this is actually markers. All right, these are markers. Keep making mistake. All right, and let's see. Awesome. All right. So now we see our data. Okay. Um, right here. They're all kind of like in the same place. Um, actually, we can change the zoom level, right, from our app.js. I think we have what is a zoom of. Let's make it a zoom of 10, so that we are centered in on our location. Oops, so still, let's make it 12. All right, I think this is much better. You see all these locations, right? All these markers. So that's pretty. It's looking neat. Um, One thing we want to also do is we want to add our info window. Okay, so let's go ahead and work on that. And let's see what the info window actually is. We need just one instance of our info window, and we don't want to go ahead and start creating info windows here in our map.js. Okay, um, let's see. Let's search for info window. I like to use Google Maps API info window. And it brings us here, and you see how we create info window. We basically just instantiate. This is just going to be one instance of info window here, and as we create our marker, we want to go ahead and add an event listener, and when we click on that marker, we want to go ahead and display the info window. So let's implement that real quick. So right here we are creating our marker, um, and we want to go ahead and just get our info window, create our info window instance. So let's create it outside. Let's create it here. Okay, for now, let's create it here. For now, window.google.maps, and right here, um, we're gonna add an event listener. Okay, call it. Okay, we're gonna add an event listener. You can add it here, and we're gonna say on click, we want this to happen. Okay, we want our info window, okay, to open on our map. Okay, and our map actually is this object, and we're gonna add our marker, um, and now we want to go ahead and set content, right? So here, instead of setting the content here, I'm gonna remove this. So there is a method we can call actually on our info window, and then we're gonna say there's a method called set content. Content. Okay, I'm gonna say hello here. All right. Let's see how far we've gone. All right, we say hello, but it's kind of like for everybody, everything. So now let's set content to first let's set it to our, what is it, at least let's just set it to, let's copy this and put it here and make it a string. Um, um, and this is gonna be uh, windows. Actually, it's going to be locations. For each locations, it's going to be locations. All right. Yeah, I think that should be fine. All right, awesome. So now we're getting our info windows. So this is pretty interesting. So the next thing we want to do is on click of this, we want to go ahead and also show their info window. Okay. Oh, something is happening here. I think they are all the same, right? The same info window. So the same content. It shouldn't be. So why is that? Actually, let's go ahead and just create a prepare content here, a method called prepare content. Okay, and what we're gonna return, what we're gonna do is we're gonna pass it in the location, and then we're gonna return this right here, this string. So I'm gonna say return this. All right. Actually, the problem is that this is actually happening. This should be inside here. Right, it should come first. Let's comment this first. All right, this is changing, right? This is changing now. Okay, yeah. So that was a mistake. But I actually want to go ahead and factor this. Actually, I like to have this way. So this is gonna be location and location. Okay, so we pass in the location and we get this object. And instead of having this here, okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and say let content equals to prepare content. I'll pass in my locations okay, and then I'll just pass it this one here. Yep. This dot prepare content. All right. Now, oops. Prepare content is not a function. Let's change it to this. So I don't know why that's complaining. Okay, same thing. This is interesting. So we are supposed to be referencing our instance object here, our object of map, but because we're using function here, this is referencing the function object, right? And we don't have this prepared content on the function object. So we're gonna change this to ES6 to use arrow function, and that should resolve that exception. All right, so now it should work. Sam's, Chick-fil-A, and all those places. All right, cool. So the next thing is we're gonna go ahead and work on our click event, so that when we click on these, when we click on on these, we're gonna go ahead and also toggle the info window. So what we need to do actually is just come to our list here, and on our link, let's go ahead and add a click event. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and say on click, we want to go ahead and just call a function. Say, let's just say console.log clicked. Okay. All right. Let's clicked. Oh yeah. And from and let's try to do that. Okay. So clicked. So now when we click on this, we need to know um, we need to know what the marker is, um, to be able to, and then the location to be able to actually know that this is the one that we clicked. Okay, so let's go ahead and just add a function here. Now I'm going to put this on the parent here, so I'm going to just write a um, undo click event function. Okay, so let's put it here. So I'm going to say undo click, um, and what we need is we need the location that we want to trigger, um, and then we need the marker. Okay, um, so we need this actually to undo that. Let's go ahead and pass this here. Let's say props. Sorry, I'm gonna say undo click. I'll just say maybe show. Let me call it show info content, and I'm gonna call this to say this undo click. All right, and right here in our list, we're gonna yeah. So right here, we're just gonna go and say this dot props dot show info content, and we want to pass in what we know what the location is, right? I think yeah, we know what our location is. Okay. Actually, we also need our markers, but let's do something. Let's change this method implementation. Okay, we're gonna make currently right now we have our markers right here. All right, so but we need this actually because our list, the sidebar needs to know what markers is. Okay, um, so right here I'm going to go ahead and what am I going to do? My content, show info content, undo click. You have location right here. We're going to just pass in right here. We're going to pass in location. Okay, and from our content, let's go ahead and from our content, let's go ahead and work on our undo click method. Okay, and what we want to do is that wait a minute, let's see what this is complaining about. Line 20 says use of location, line 20 on list, line 20 on list. Actually it's lock. Let's okay, so we need to know, so if we click on this, right, if we click on this, we want to know what marker that is, and then for that marker we want to show the info window. So right from our from our content, the logic is going to be that um, actually first let's go ahead and do something here. After we are done with all of this, let's go ahead and just after we are done with the for loop, let's go ahead and just put this globally. Okay, um, let's go do this. Markers equals to markers. Okay, and I'm doing that. We can actually change this later. Equals to this as markers. So right here, we're gonna say now for each we're gonna do a for loop for let I equals to 0 and I we have is less than the macros length. Actually, windows dot macros window dot macros dot length. Okay, and I plus plus. What do we want to do? We want to go ahead and find out what location we actually clicked. Okay, so if location dot venue, so we have an ID on that, equals the markers. So there is a method to actually get the location of actually, you know what, let's do one thing. Let's pass in on this marker, let's go ahead and pass in a title. Okay, and this title we're gonna make it a ID. Okay, let's do that. It's actually from where, from map, from here. Let's go ahead and pass this title, and then we call it what? We call it location I, okay, dot venue dot ID. That's the ID, the unique this ID. So let's do that. So if this dot actually, let's remove this fourth equal. And so if the location ID that we passed in, the ID of location that we passed in is equal to the ID on the marker, what do we want to go ahead and do? We want to go ahead and say a window.info window. We want to show that window, that info window. I'm going to call it open on the object, on the map object, which is actually on window.map object. And then we want to pass in the marker, that the right marker, which is the height one. Okay, and this should work. So let's try it out. So this is still working. All right, so we actually have it working. Awesome. Great. So yeah, that is it. I'm going to stop here. And in the next video, we're going to be rounding up by actually working on our query. And then I'll just kind of like do some little CSS to make it look a little bit nicer. All right, thank you for watching.